I look at people around me, and somebody asks me at my table, "Do you know all these people?" I say, "Well, I'll tell you something. I can go from table to table, and I know about 90% of these people and what's in the closet." And we're still all right. Still all right.
What I wanted to do was to give you a little sense of how we got here. First, I heard from Malik that he thought it was extremely important that we celebrate our father's birthday.
And I think that everyone here really believes that Leroy has made the most of the 80 years that he has spent on this planet with us. And to recover all of those moments and all those special days would be more than we could actually do in this evening and probably a couple weeks to come. So instead, we have chosen some topics that we thought were near and dear to his heart so that we could ask some people to speak to those. And I think it won't surprise anyone that those topics include his work with disadvantaged youth, with ex-convicts, with recovering addicts, with the mentally ill, and of course Leroy had to include neighborhood beautification.
You know how Leroy says, he's been with me for 20 years. We've been together for 30 years. We've been together, well, I want to say in Leroy's terms, we've been together for 40 years.
Yeah.
And Leroy, I met Leroy when I first arrived in Harlem as a 22-year-old innocent white girl from the suburbs of Boston who was arriving to join the civil rights movement, never having been out of a white community in my life. And Leroy was there at the door to meet me and make sure that my way was open so that I didn't make too many horrible mistakes, and so that he covered my back so that I actually could contribute something. And from that moment forward, that was 1964, 4 years ago, Leroy has been my guide, my mentor.
I was talking to Kathy today about the work that he's done around beautification, above and beyond the work he's done with Clean City. And she was telling me stories going way back to when they first came to San Francisco and were in the Tenderloin. And he used to organize neighborhood cleanups with an organization called San Francisco Alive. And we used to go door to door to the merchants and to the residents and ask them to come out and sweep the streets and take care of their neighborhood. And that work evolved into organizing the merchants and merchants associations for the Tenderloin, and went on to organize planning coalitions and on and on and on.
I bring greetings from Washington, D.C. I'm Lovely Luther Matthews. I am Leroy's niece, and I have the name of his mom, and I'm from the city that he was born in. And my earliest memory of Leroy is being a little girl without a dad. My grandfather, Leroy's father, ran my dad off, I guess, or maybe he ran off on his own. But Leroy stepped in, and to be honest, I never missed my dad, because I had Leroy.
If you just look at him, you can tell he loves jazz music, and also he loves watching rap videos on MTV. You know, he does. He likes 18th century French furniture that looks like, you know, someone dainty would sit on, and he loves to sit on it too. But he also loves arts and crafts, and you know, he had his style, which, you know, is if anyone looks back in time at the pictures of my dad, he'd be wearing, you know, these wonderful, gorgeous suits and expensive shoes and beautiful silk ties, and he's a man of many contradictions. He loves Chinese food and gumbo, and occasionally, when Mom lets him, some fast food, you know. But he looks for the goodness in everything, and I think he does that with people too.
My memories of you, because I never really knew what you did. I knew you were in that hotel. I knew you sat in a chair, but it seemed like all you did was introduce this person to that person. And as I see you, I think that was your job, and somehow you figured out how to get money from it.
I have similar memories, growing up, when you're a small person and you see this big 6'4" guy who, I'm wondering if he ever smiled when we were kids, I don't know. But he has a way about him where you don't have to see his teeth to know that he's smiling. Last person, most important, I said it before, is Kathy Luper. Kathy is wonderful. She's been a mother to all 4 children, including the one that's not here, and the black sheep included. So not only do we love you, Dad, we love you too. Whether I call you Kathy or I call you Mom, you're my mother, you raised me, and I love you more than anything.
Funny about Leroy. You heard Dorothy, how she met Leroy. She was this young little white 22-year-old, or did you say 24? 22, who came from Harlem. Who came from Boston into Harlem to volunteer. Well, the strange thing is that I was 22, and I came into Fillmore as a student from San Francisco State to volunteer. And that's how I met Leroy. I know it sounds like he has a thing for young little white interns. But that's the truth. That's how we met. And from the moment I met him, I knew he was one of the most wonderful people I would ever come across. And I still love him. He's the first and only man in my life. I cherish him, I love him. And I always will. Thank you, Leroy, for being such a good husband and a good father. And thank you for bringing so many wonderful people in our lives. You know, this is a very rare group. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to meetings where there are only white people or only black people. You very rarely see a group that's so well mixed and well represented, not just in age and race, but also in wealth and class and all the other things that people tend to segregate themselves with. But this is truly how wonderful Leroy is. He brings together everyone. And he brought me and this wonderful family together. And thank you for being our friends and for coming here tonight. Oh, and I wanted to let you know that every night, even though I'm not the most religious person in the sense that I don't go to church every week, I thank God for all the blessings this family has received. The blessings in receiving a wonderful husband, beautiful children, and wonderful friends. So thank you.
And I want to thank my family, my sons, my wife, friend, for getting this thing together. You know, it's the first birthday party I had in 80 years. They waited too much longer and they'd have missed the boat. But they gave me something that I didn't know was coming. And they got people out here about here. And I appreciate that, son. I appreciate that each one.
We talk bad about the mayor. He proclaimed today Leroy Luper Day. As did the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco.
For 16 years of creative, dedicated, wise, loving, powerful leadership and service, guiding and supporting Youth Build USA as we have brought opportunity to 40,000 youth and homes to 12,000 families in 200 communities. You are the best, and we love you forever. Happy 80th birthday.
A birthday wouldn't be a birthday without a cake. So your dear wife is going to bring up a cake.
Always want to say this, but never do. Anybody who's going to Stofield or Dofield, anybody who's been a convict, been in jail, have made mistakes, and feel that you're going to visit this crap on your kids, forget it. You don't have to. You always, as long as you have a breath, to change. You don't have to go to bed worrying about, are they going to pick up my mistakes? The apple always falls closest to the tree, but that don't mean that you can't take the apple and make some jelly out of it or something out of it. You don't apple pie, you can apple sauce. You know what I mean? You can change the complexity of that apple. So don't worry about it. Just keep struggling with your own life, and you can make it better. Thank you.
We've been friends for 40 years, so I think the essential continuity of that is that he's been my mentor and my friend and my inspiration in a lot of ways for the work that I've done with Youth Build over the past 40 years. I've always turned to Leroy for advice when anything got difficult. I've been the executive director of programs in East Harlem, and now I'm the president of Youth Build USA. Leroy's chairman of the board, so Leroy's my boss, and Leroy's been my boss for 16 years. You couldn't have a better boss.
I was trying to figure out, well, who is this guy? And because he was the MC that day. And as a result of that, I saw the power and the persuasion of Dr. Looper and met him shortly thereafter, and we've been friends ever since.
First time I went to the Cadillac, and as I said, I was a youngster, baby lawyer, young guy, and never been in the Tenderloin. So I got there and met with Leroy and talked about whatever the legal issue was. And then I said I was going to go back and probably walk to BART, and he insisted on escorting me from there. And as we were walking along the street, all of the people who you might otherwise think of as engaged in perhaps not entirely legal activities, hello to Leroy, paid him the ultimate respect, and clearly wouldn't bother me at all while I was with Leroy Looper.
So I met Leroy about 1968, 1969, when he was first doing Realty House West on Fillmore Street. And he had a clothing store, and across the way was his residential center. So I met him and worked with him during that period of time. And we developed a relationship, and we've been friends ever since.
One memory I have is of going to a neighborhood meeting with Leroy when they were trying to, when the more conservative of the neighbors were trying to prevent this facility for young people in danger of becoming homeless from locating about half a block up the street on Guerrero. And there were all the usual stupid arguments, you know, Catholic Charities was the people that was behind it, so, you know, they have a good rep. And Leroy and I kind of single-handedly turned it around. I had a piece of paper, and they had all these petitions against it, so I grabbed a piece of paper and started going around getting signatures for it, and we started, between Leroy and I, a whole movement to have the thing come in, as opposed to opposing it coming in, and we won. And
I think perhaps actually the first time I came out to his house, because you know, the house he and Kathy lived on Guerrero, because he was telling me about his house and they were doing some work on it, and he said I should come by and see it, and he was on the board and I was staff at that point, so I thought, okay, well, you know, I'll go do that. And quite overwhelming. The Guerrero house is a 22-room mansion, and when he said a little work, he really didn't say enough about it, in the sense that it was exquisite wallpaper being put on the walls, and the woodwork and the furnishings and the design that he and Kathy had put together. It was just fantastic.
I came out here in '95. I remember we were all sitting down, eat on the back porch back here. It was kind of tense, as I said, between her family and mine, except for Leroy sitting there. Everyone had their vibes about them, but he just said, "Come on, Qual, let's eat." And we were having roast pork, and no one wanted to eat the pork, so me and him sat there and we ate all the pork, and you know, the vibes are nice between him and me. Really always has been. I try not to do anything that I think would disappoint him in me, because I'm not perfect, you know. I don't think anyone is. But it's nice to have someone who thinks highly of you and gives you a certain amount of respect so that you can keep it instead of forcing you to earn your way up. So he's kind of like that. He gives you all the respect up front and gives you the opportunity to keep it or throw it away.
Most of the memories that I'm fondest of were those that had us outside of our home and in the Cadillac Hotel, in community meetings and sweeping streets and seeing so many people who wanted to be about change in their communities or in multiple communities working together on things that were important to them.
Daddy, I guess my role right now is mommy, you know? And I have these wonderful boys, and all the time I think to myself, you know, I have Big Mama here, I have Daddy here, I have Mommy here, and my little boys, you know? And I have these wonderful sons, and I always look for you in them, right? And their little pouty lips, and when they throw tantrums, and just in all the little things they do. And I always say, what a nice thing, I get to give Daddy a nice life, you know, Daddy in a new incarnation, you know? I get to give him lots of love. I get to give you lots of love, Daddy.
The fact that there are this many people here that want to say hi, and probably 3 times more that probably couldn't get here, was a good testament to the fact that he's made a mark. I think he's made his mark by helping people. You know, he's founded lots of nonprofits, and he's a good daddy. And he's kept the Looper line going, because without that, then there wouldn't be very many Loopers here now. So we've got some grandchildren and probably some more on the way, and I think that's how he made his mark.
So I meet people all the time who talk about him as almost a mythical figure. And that has not been my experience. As a young person growing up, he was always introducing me to people, and I could never keep them all in my head. But it was always, oh, meet this person and that person, and he always seemed to know everybody. But it was always hard for me to get a sense of what he did for a living. As I said at the event, it seemed like his job was to introduce people to other people, and that, in many ways is his legacy, that, he's been able to create an organization where not only is he doing good for people just by creating a safe living space or excuse me, creating programs that help people, but he's connected important people with other important people so that they can get together and do good work. And I think that's inspired my brother. He does the same kind of thing. I try to do it in my own way in the work that I do. And that's connecting people to other people so that great things can happen that no one ever even planned on.
I know he's done a lot of community work, and he's helped a lot of people when they're in need. And like him and his wife have a plaque out in front of it's over by the Metro. I'm not too familiar with the city, but it's over there, and shows like the work he did and stuff. So I mean, pretty big impact on the community.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely made his mark on his son, which has affected me, and now we're having a son as well. So there's generations of Loopers out there. There's also a few other grandsons that he has. And I think that's, he's had a big influence on all his children, and through them, on myself and on their children. As well as the larger community. But, family is really important to him.
Oh, I just think that his mark on the world, that he has set the standards for nonprofit organizations dealing with prisoners and senior citizens. And when I was always fascinated by how Leroy combined his work with senior citizens and ex-offenders. Yeah, did it very cleverly.
When you say Looper, when Leroy says Looper, it means something to him. I don't think it meant much until it was his name. And he does everything he can to make Leroy Looper, and anybody with the Looper name stand out in the world. I believe my uncle will go on and leave a legacy that few will be able to follow, but he has great kids and they're coming behind him. He's making sure. So that's what he has done for the world. He has made a mark. We won't forget him.
He's made his mark in a lot of ways by all the, the Cadillac Hotel and Glide and the work he's done with them, and I know he's done so much work cleaning up the Tenderloin, and he's just involved in so many projects. And then the Youth Build, the work he's done there. I worked with him with the Glide and the Glide community, so that's where I know him from, but I just hear about all of these other things that he's done. He just never lets up working to improve things. And so his mark is all over San Francisco.
Daddy, I love you. I want my kids to be around you enough to get to know you and love you. I want you to be healthy and strong. I want you to listen to Mommy. I want Mommy to listen to you. You guys be nice to each other. You guys are a great role model for a married couple.
I love you, and hope you have lots of meatball and spaghetti meals to come in the future.
Then I'm going to tell you what you know, which is that I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm grateful to you for all the work that I have done and all the guidance you've given me and the confidence and the unconditional confidence you've had in my ability to pull it off, and you're partnering with me. That's very personal. And then I totally admire what you've done in your own life and with your family, and raised 4 wonderful children, had a great marriage with Kathy, and you've contributed to everything you've ever touched in a way that is uniquely Leroy.
Dad, I really appreciate all that you've done to try to make me a better person, to make me successful in life, and to teach me what you believe is important for me to know about loving my family, being a responsible person, making the best out of my life and making good choices, and if I make bad choices, to take responsibility and to try to do better. I appreciate that you've touched so many other people's lives, and that makes me proud to be a Looper. And so, happy birthday again. 80 years is a lot, but not quite enough. So let's see what you can accomplish in the next 20 to 30 years, All right. Thanks, Dad. I love you.
Leroy, just keep on keeping on and keep on being you, because you give the rest of us hope by what you do.
Birthday, and look forward to introducing you to your latest grandson.
Dr. Looper, you just have no idea how you've impacted my life, and I hope that I've given it back to you through Malik, and just maintaining our friendship throughout the years. Deb and I love you guys, and always will think kindly of you, and anywhere we go, any moment we are in, just wonderful to be thought of, and you have truly shown us how to love one another and the community as a whole. So thank you, and happy 80th birthday.
I just say, Leroy, my life has been enriched from having met you and known you for 24 years.
I love you very much, and you have always been my hero, and I always tell, whenever I come across people, I say, I need to take you to meet Leroy, because I just think there's the one Leroy. I don't think there's any more people around like Leroy Looper.
Thanks a lot for the opportunity you've given me, for accepting me in your family. Thanks for having Agape, because he has been, it's the right word, it's hard for me to put how I feel in words, but she's been a grounding force for me, taking me off a lot of bad paths and kind of giving me a direction in life. So I appreciate everything you've done for me, and if you ever need my help in any way, don't hesitate to ask.
He knows I love him, and I thank him. I thank him for being the dad that I didn't have, I never knew my dad, but I never really missed him, because I always had Leroy. Leroy was always there to take care of me. He didn't overdo it, because he's the kind of man who'll push you forward. He'll make you do what he knows you can do. And he's a blessing.
I love you, Dad. Thank you for being you.
I love you. Hope there's many more birthdays to come.
Say happy birthday, and I'm very happy that you've been part of my life. I'm very happy that you have allowed me to be not only part of your life, but a part of your family life. And our families have always been as one family. And I love you very much, Leroy. And you too, Kathy.
I'll always love you. You are a wonderful human being.
The celebration met our major goal, which was for our father to be happy and to really enjoy the evening, and that worked out well, really well. You know, he seemed to really enjoy seeing everybody and being with friends who he hadn't seen for a while. Even someone like Dorothy, who he gets to see regularly, to be able to have her come and experience his birthday with him, I think was great. Having just about all of his family there. Of course, having Agape there would have made it really perfect, but now that she's here now, makes up for it, you know, and his grandkids.
Well, one of the things that occurred to me over the last couple of years was that my father had been doing a lot of work in the community, and a lot of the people that I grew up with here in San Francisco, who were the children of the people who had done so much during, especially when my father first arrived in San Francisco. A lot of those people were literally passing away, and we were acknowledging all the wonderful things they did after they left. About 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago, I made a decision, and at least for myself, that I wasn't going to let my father not be acknowledged while he's here on the planet. And in the last year, my brother Isan came back to town, and a lot of us were spending more time together. There was a stronger bond between us and the family, and there were other people who cared just as dearly for my dad or our father as we do. And we decided to join forces, if you will, and basically put together a committee of folks who knew and loved and respected our dad, and we wanted to recognize him. And you know, what more fitting way to do that than an 80th birthday party?
Gosh, it was a great experience because I never got to work with Gia. I didn't know her that well. I knew that she knew my father, and she was willing to work and work hard. So I appreciated that right away. And so getting to know Gia much better, coming back and the working with my brother, something that he and I hadn't done a lot of before. Obviously, we spent a lot of time together, but not working together on a project. And so that was good. And the work that I did with Camlo as well. But it was great that the three sons were able to get together and try to make something happen. I'm sure Agape would have been involved had she been here. But that experience in itself is something that I'll hold with me.
I think it's important for us meaning the children, and Gia Grant, who's kind of another Looper child, to acknowledge the work of the people who really made this whole celebration happen. It was really, first and foremost, our dad and the relationships he has, and you know, Kathy's work to help us gain access to and update his Rolodex to determine who was going to be of some assistance to us. And I guess that message, the message that I walked away with is that the relationships that he developed early on are strong, they're long-lasting, and there are so many people who had a hand in acknowledging who he is and who he's been and who he's likely to be. And I know that you know, Dad, he said to at least to the children, you know, thank you very much for doing this. It's a wonderful experience for us, and I can't believe you made it happen. And I want to make sure that we give credit where credit's due, that there were a lot of people who had a hand in bringing this about, and they all care about him dearly.
I was touched by you know, Issa's and Malik Jr.'s participation in the event. And having that on tape too was great. But yes, I do think that it helped to keep us tied together, because we were definitely spending a lot of time, a lot of weekends, a lot of time after work. It was stressful on our other relationships, but good for ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, definitely worth it. More than worth it.
A gentle giant, standing tall and proud, he always strives to help the poor and weak. A man whose vision soars above the crowd, of bureaucrats and all their doublespeak. He helped ex-convicts find a better life with programs at the Cadillac Hotel. Along with Kathy, his fantastic wife, they learned to operate outside a cell. Again with Kathy, running the Chateau, a mansion for the chronic mentally ill. These folks sometimes had nowhere else to go, but Leroy helped them to regain their will. He helped the children from the city's slums to love themselves and know their human worth. He valued those whom others cursed as bums, our brothers and our sisters on this earth. He worked to unify the Tenderloin, a neighborhood where hopelessness once reigned. He started programs, urged his friends to join. He showed the city how much could be gained. His grown children are his pride and joy. Malik and Isan, standing tall and true. Agape, who just had a baby boy, the youngest Campbell, rounding out the crew. Today we honor all that Leroy's done, with Kathy Sophus standing by his side. They are united like the moon and sun, and none would dare to turn this mighty tide. We honor you today, our precious friend, for all the strength you show us every day. We pray your lion's heart will never end. For Leroy Looper, we all shout, hooray!
To read you a little letter that Agape wrote from Jamaica. And she asked me to read this to you and ask for a little audience participation. Okay, it says, this is Agape speaking. It's not me, okay? And I want you to know that Agape is our third child, well, my first child, but Leroy's third child, our only daughter. And she's married. She just had her third baby boy, and she lives in Jamaica. And I think she's trying to figure out how she can relocate back so she could be with her family here. So I'm hoping she'll be successful in that. So now here's Agape's little letter to the audience here. I recently read in the paper that in 1955, a man from British Honduras named Emilio, who was 100 and something, and a man from Jamaica, who was also 100 and something, had a boxing match. And Emilio knocked out the guy, the Jamaican guy, in the 5th round. I read that and said, good grief, that's amazing. That's great. That's what I want for myself and for everyone that I love. I read the little blurb that was in the newspaper about the fight to my husband, Quao, and he laughed at me. He said, that's their weight, not their age. Well, regardless, weight, age, that's still what I want. To live healthy, strong, wise, to a good old age. So today, here's a room full of people gathered together out of affection and love for my daddy, to wish him the traditional happy birthday and more. As a believer in word power, I would love it if we could use all the energy of this group to emphasize the many more. I would like for everyone to let loose of their inhibitions and join me in yelling out as loud as you can, happy birthday, Leroy, and many, many, many more. So can we all do that for Agape? Happy birthday!